I'm a sipper, so this is the 1 cup of coffee, and I start it in the morning, and I probably finish it right around 4:00 in the afternoon. Is that weird? Because that face says that's weird. That face you're giving me right now.
It's weird.
Is it?
It's weird. It's just like all kinds of wrong.
Well, as long as I've known you, you've been a weird kind of guy, Casey.
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you.
If you're going to sip, have an espresso, sip and be done.
So it is, okay, so it's an Americana, like iced Americana, and then I just sip it all day. But I do appreciate espresso on the weekend. So like I've got the little, what is it, like Jadeite Fire King, like the old coffee mugs, super thick, green Jadeite, and I'll sip with my pinky up,
Very nice.
But any other time.
Sipping even lukewarm Americano all day is just kind of sad. Do you drink Americanos?
Ever since I went to start going to London a lot.
Oh, flat white.
I started drinking lattes more because, in London they give you the coffee with the warm milk.
Flat white.
Yeah, and it kind of morphed me into a latte kind of guy.
Not tea.
Well, the afternoon tea, absolutely, but I want milk in the tea.
Yeah. You going whole,
Yes.
you whole milk
English.
then? Or,
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
You don't get like
because I'm getting my
milk or
steps
anything?
in over Europe.
Okay,
I walk
gotcha.
it off. But I'm going to Utrecht January 6th for business.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Utrecht, so just outside of Amsterdam.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
How often are
Be
you
cold.
traveling? I mean, in your role as director of
It has its
CVB.
ebbs and flows, but probably as it evens itself out 12 months a year, probably almost 1 week a month.
wow.
Yeah, a lot of it's airline related. Majority of it's airline related.
Okay.
What's the number one thing you have put as attraction to Manatee County as for tourism? Like, what do you say is, hey, we've got this when you got one thing to promote?
Well, it's a cop-out. The sugar white sand beaches, but more importantly, it's the characteristics of Anna Maria Island that separates itself from any other barrier island in Florida. Go find it. You won't.
You won't.
It's the low rise. I go around the world saying Anna Maria Island is Florida like it once was 50, 60 years ago with modern day accommodations, because you can't build any taller than 35 feet. So just 3 stories, and you don't have a flag restaurant, you don't have a chain restaurant, or a flag hotel, a chain restaurant, and it makes it special.
It really is.
But with that, I'm the weird tourism director that's more of a less is more kind of person. Let's not break records. Let's moderately bring in tourism 12 months a year that feeds our economy. You've heard me say it, that enhances the quality of life for the residents that live here. If we can do that year in and year out, then we've done our job.
Yeah.
And anything different than that, that's where people get frustrated with tourists.
How do we go about preserving that character, especially after the 2024 hurricane season? I know that's very difficult, and I know that the island has been probably the fastest recovery we've ever seen, or anybody in the state of Florida has ever seen. How important is that maintaining that character after, especially something like that hit our area?
Well, there's many people, especially our kids' generation, the Zs, the young millennials. They want sustainable initiatives. I mean, with managing the convention center, these meeting planners are looking for sustainability programs first, especially the governments. So we have to be there. We have to be on the offense to the point where love it like a local, right? Staff had the idea. We launched it probably in 2021. First time I had all 3 mayors together at a press conference that just loved it. And essentially, we had a 12-year-old young lady tell the story of what love it like a local means. And when you hear that child's voice, bad terminology, you almost guilt the adult into behaving themselves. So even if I live in Lakewood Ranch and spending the day at the beach, clean up after myself. Just stay away from the turtles, embrace it, but respect it, and live it like a local. And we just got to keep on building upon that. I think the audience that comes into the area as a visitor are pretty much disciplined. We're different than Clearwater. We're different than South Beach because at the end of the day, we're a couples family destination. We're not a singles destination. I don't need to tell you why. You know the characteristics. Will we ever be South Beach? No. Just look at the characteristics of the island. Drastic things would never change, and it won't. So know who you're targeting. I've always say, hey, if you're selling a Maserati, you're probably not targeting somebody that can only afford a Chevy.
Right.
So let's understand the characteristics. Make sure the marketplace, the target knows geographically where you're at. And then with that, the characteristics mean that you know who can afford to come visit here, that aligns your target market. So we're doing digital advertising in almost every case on platforms that people have intent to travel. And when you go buy on a digital platform, there's questions. What is the age range that looks at your platform? And what is the household income? Okay, so we won't be on a platform, and there's seasonality shifts, but like going into the wintertime, you won't see us on a digital platform for a household income on average is looking at that $130,000 or higher than that. Summer drive is going to be a little bit different. You have a little bit of a younger, I'll call it the young executive couples. That'll drop down, so we may be on platforms 110 and above, but we land 122, 123. So it's working.
Yeah.
In digital advertising, I'm not really a marketing person, but it kind of keeps it simple, stupid for you.
Is that being done nationally, or are you guys reaching out and really focusing on like specific markets?
Specific markets.
Yeah.
So sometimes I keep it as simple as follow the nonstop flight into Sarasota Bradenton International. And part of the blessing of the fastest growing airport in the U.S. for 3 consecutive years really helped build out the Northeast, more importantly, rebuild the Midwest. And then Texas has a high ceiling. I mean, it's ignorant. Where would you rather go, to Corpus Christi to the beach, or a quick 2.5-hour flight right into the backyard and be on paradise of called Anna Maria Island, Lombo Key? It's pretty easy to sell. You just got to create that brand awareness. Remember, when AirTran was bought by Southwest Airlines, Southwest said, you know what? We don't need to service Sarasota Bradenton International Airport because the residents of the Bradenton area in Sarasota will make that drive to Tampa. Okay? That was frustrating. We lost Wisconsin flights, Milwaukee. We lost Indianapolis, the big 3, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati. And then it took COVID to say, Southwest called us and said, look, we have 737s in a desert. We got to get them in the air. You guys, we want to partner with you. And my first question was, because I'm known as a pretty aggressive incentive guy, is we'll give you a deal that you won't want to turn down, but once we get beyond COVID, you're not going to go back to Tampa. And they said, no, you have our word. So 2021, February 14th, Valentine's Day, Southwest was launched, and now they're the second biggest carrier at SRQ. That helped us rebuild the Midwest.
How on brand.
And that relationship with SRQ is partnership is so important. Can you tell us a little bit about how? I mean, because you're a member of the board, correct?
I'm a member of the advisory board.
The advisory board,
which really means the advisory encompasses both counties. But at the end of the day, and I've been blessed to be the chair. I guess they were desperate to find somebody, so they picked the little guy named Elliot. But we're ambassadors.
Yeah.
So if we understand the dynamics of the airport, what is needed from the communities. So if we're advisors, then we need to spread that word and find partners for it to continue to be successful. With that, remember, they burned their debt right around 2016. And when you burn your debt, I think we're one of 2 airports in the U.S. that are debt-free, even after that new terminal was built that just opened last year,
Awesome.
paid cash. So it was some state grants, some federal grants, and cash in the bank to build that. Now the airport can offer unique incentives. So, for example, if you all are Delta Airlines or usually an ultra-low-cost carrier, and you're looking at a new route that SRQ doesn't service right now, then we may say, okay, if you run nonstop Milwaukee to SRQ at least twice weekly, year-round, we'll give you first 2 years the airport, everything free. Free landing fees, free gate fees, front desk, even the ticket stock is free. Okay? So, but the federal government only allows an airport to offer that for 2 years and no more. So where does Elliot and Visit Sarasota come in? We can say, okay, we'll give you marketing incentive dollars for those 2 years. You can do one of two things to market that new nonstop flight. You could either create your own campaign, and then we'll reimburse you for those costs. Or I've learned that where there's a lean division in airlines, it's usually the marketing department. They always get the short end of the stick. So knowing that, we'll say, look, if you don't have the bandwidth for your marketing team to manage that campaign, then we'll create the campaign. You will approve it, and then we'll run that. And not many tourism departments offer that. What's weird is I'm the only tourism director at the table in the country at these speed dating conferences, and sometimes the Las Vegas director will show up. Why? I don't know. Am I asking my competitive set why you're not at the table? No. Gives us a competitive advantage.
Let's talk a little bit about how you got started. Like you didn't wake up one morning being the director of tourism, right? You got here, worked hard. Tell us a little bit about your beginning at Manatee County.
Well, if I can go before Manatee County.
Yes.
So born and raised in Pittsburgh, Steel City kid. Grandfather worked for Jones and Laughlin Steel as a rigger.
Wow.
For 45 years. And if you know what a rigger does, kind of like a circus worker. Yeah. They're the ones, you've seen photos of it, Stephanie, where they're walking on a steel beam 200 feet in the air.
Can you believe it? That famous picture in New York.
No safety,
Or Chicago, yeah.
And I'll never forget when my brother and I were young adults, because we didn't know our grandfather risked his life every day. We said, Grandpa, what were you making in 1970? He's making $80,000 a year.
That was good.
But you know what? But you risked your life, and the unions were really, really strong. The good and the bad is it was very expensive to produce steel, and when China started figuring out ways to produce it cheaper, hence the demise of the steel industry. The reason why I say that is that was the number one industry that fed the city of Pittsburgh. So that demise depressed that city for over 20 years. So I grew up with that. Now it's continuing education, medical, and technology. Two reasons for that: old money, Carnegie, Mellon, etc., and Carnegie Mellon University and old money were really the two engines that rebuilt that city to what it is today. I played college baseball, wanted to be part of some kind of baseball organizations, and the Pirates literally hired me off the street. And I worked 6 years for the Pittsburgh Pirates, pretty much a yes man. Don't miss the game, miss the camaraderie. And then after 6 years, if you're not in a vice president or above job, you're not making much money. So I was 26 years old, and so you start looking at, I was supposed to get a job with the Florida Marlins, and this is where God was good to me, because right before they were going to hire me, there was a lockout in baseball. So they said, hold on, let's wait until this is settled, and then we'll call you. My sister lives in Clearwater, and she saw an ad in the newspaper. We don't get that anymore, right? And said, hey, I don't know if you're interested, but there's this job with the Tourism Bureau, but it's in Bradenton, and I know the Pirates train there. So I said, well, you know what, I'll apply for it because I'm just waiting around. Still working for the Pirates. 2 weeks later, I was hired to really oversee the convention center. And then over the years, my title kept changing.
What was that year you started?
It was October 18th, 1993.
Wow.
And at that point, the convention center was called the Manatee Civic Center.
So over 30 years you've been doing this.
I started year 33.
Wow.
Last October. So the community's been better to me than I deserve. I truly believe that in my heart. It's been a great community. You can't take the Pittsburgher out of you.
Sure.
But if there's a home away from home, it's here because, well, Stephanie, you've been to Pittsburgh with me. We formed a sister city relationship in 2012. So, and then I would say that I'm luring Pittsburghers down here.
It's a great town.
So it's a home away from home. So it's been pretty special. Over the years, they kept changing my title to the point where my predecessor, Larry White, who worked for the county for 19 years, I said, Larry, maybe I should just stop putting a title on my business cards because we're wasting business cards. And I was blessed. So right around 2010, at some point you just stop counting years and dates. Ed Hunsaker, our county administrator at that point. Back then, county administrators would recommend to the board to appoint certain people. And I think hiring within is really good for the culture, the morale. And when Ed said that, hey, I'm going to go to the board to suggest that I make you interim director, I said, are you sure about that? Because I know nothing about tourism. I know a little bit about managing special event facilities. And he said that I know you can communicate and you're quick at building relationships and you're smart enough to surround yourself with people that know how to promote the destination. And part of it, he said, we like you because you're not a tourism guy. Because the philosophy as a tourism director is nothing but promoting the destination for tourism. Tourism, tourism, tourism. Let's break records. Let's use marketing dollars. And I'm so not that.
You really are out of the box.
Yeah. So my marketing people, I've always said you never ask a marketing person if they need more money. The answer will always be yes. And I love them dearly, and we need them for this community. But they have to go through a rigorous process to convince me, first and foremost, why they need to increase marketing budget. And then as I feel good about it, then the TDC and the Board of County Commissioners fall into place. But sometimes you never know the cards that you're going to be dealt in life. When I was in college, when I was working for the Pirates, I didn't even know what the Tourism Bureau was, known as Convention and Visitors Bureau. But it's the path that was basically given to me. And it's worked out well for me and my family, for sure. I sure hope it's worked out for the community.
Yeah, I could think the results speak for themselves. I mean, tourism is a huge part of our economy in Manatee County. And, I just want to go into the TDC. Can you tell our listeners, what is the TDC? What's your role in it? And how does it work together with your department?
It's a great question. So there's two different Convention and Visitors Bureaus that I dumb it down for myself and just say, hey, we're a tourism bureau. You and I can go into a street, downtown Tampa, Orlando, and say, what's a Convention and Visitors Bureau do? And it's amazing the different answers that you get. So if you levy a tourism tax, and that's if you stay in a hotel, motel, any kind of short-term rental accommodation, 6 months or less, you'll have the price of the unit. So say $100 for the room, then you have your sales tax, 7%, and then now the Board of County Commissioners levy 6 pennies or 6 cents. And that's where we collect. So by the end of this calendar year, we'll probably be in that $38 to $40 million of tourism tax collected. Okay, so that's how our department is run. Our staff is paid. It's how we promote the county for tourism. 1 out of the 6 pennies go right to beach renourishment. Charlie Hunsiker does an awesome job managing that. Piers, docks, museums, etc. We may get into that a little bit later. But if you levy a tourism tax in the state of Florida, the law requires you to have a tourist development council. 9-person member. The chair must be a county commissioner, so that's Commissioner Ballard, does an awesome job. And the city of Bradenton is guaranteed a seat as the largest municipality. That's Mayor Gene Braun. So they do nothing but advise, make recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. I sit at the dais as a non-voting TDC member because I bring ideas, partnerships, marketing plans to them for their consideration. Yeah. Yeah. And they make recommendation, yes, commissioners, we agree with this, or no, we don't. Now, quite candidly, if the TDC does not recommend something that I bring to them, it may not stop me from bringing something to the board. But in most cases, 99.9% of the time, the way I work as a manager, because I'm in the sunshine, they're in the sunshine, I meet with them one-on-one. So there's only 6 meetings a year. The law requires the TDC to meet at least every quarter. We meet every other month, and why that works good for me. Most counties meet monthly, but every other month gives me the ability on the off month to meet one-on-one with the TDC. So if I'm working on a grant, whether it's with a municipality or a nonprofit, then one-on-one I'm saying, okay, here's the deal that I'm going to bring to you all. And if I'm getting a pulse that they all are feeling it, then I'm going to go to the TDC and they're going to recommend it. If I'm getting pushback one-on-one, then I may pull off and renegotiate the deal because there's nothing good about negativity in the public, in the media, because some people will say, gosh, Elliot, do they even care because they agree with everything that you bring to them? No, there's a reason for that. We're all lockstep, one-on-one. So we do it kind of behind the scenes, but would stay within the sunshine laws.
You're doing the work as it's being laid out, not necessarily. You know the answers a lot of time because you've had previous conversations, raised questions, gotten more answers, gotten more research
done
in
briefings,
advance.
right.
Correct. Yeah. And let me just take a step back. So there's two structured tourism bureaus in the state of Florida. One is you're either a department of the government, which obviously is Manatee County, so I'm known as a department director with the 13 other department heads, or you're a C6 membership bureau like a Chamber of Commerce. So I'm bookended by C6 membership bureaus, Visit Sarasota, Visit Tampa, but we partner with them as well. Pinellas and Punta Gorda, all the way down to Naples, they're all government departments. I love being a department of the government because I'm around the table with my colleagues that are discussing new development in our community, redevelopment in our community. So if I can influence on how they develop or redevelop that appeals to a tourist, that's something that a membership bureau director usually doesn't have that seat.
Yeah, no doubt. And so just help educate us again a little bit further, because a lot of people, especially in this property tax discussion lately, are thinking like, well, we'll just replace it with tourism dollars. You mentioned it earlier, but just say again, how much money are we talking about? Could you actually replace property tax with tourism dollars?
Well, unless it's pennies on the dollar. I mean, maybe even a half a penny. $39 million a year, your gross coming in. The county has commitments. You got to put that 1 penny into a coffer. I think Charlie Hunsicker will tell you, put the storms aside, that gives you that quick erosion. He has to renourish those beaches on Anna Maria every 7-8 years at the tune of $18 to $20 million a year.
So right there, that's half the year
right
budget.
there, and a lot of times he's also getting a state grant, maybe federal, and sometimes there's not enough, so they have to borrow money. Mm-hmm. We have debt service on the convention center. I've always said, first of all, the tax is limited right now as we sit here on how it can be used. I've had community people say, well, your tourists, Elliot, your tourists are clogging up our roads, and why can't we use that tourism tax to build roads, maintain roads? You can't. Law doesn't allow it.
Right.
Okay. We can maybe use it for trails in an area like Anna Maria Island that the tourist will use to bring you to assets like the entrances of the beach. You could. Now, where the board was really creative, because of the traffic, they asked us to start a water ferry operation where I didn't believe that it would work, but we took on the challenge. Oh, absolutely, and I've publicly said that. I am who I am, and if I tell the community when I fall short, I hope that builds trust in the community that I'm very transparent.
So what turned it around for you?
Well, just seeing people buying tickets, and 12 months a year was really. We knew that, the first quarter and second quarter would probably do okay. Wasn't sure about the summertime. Definitely wasn't sure about the fall. And we're going to end up. First year we were 22,000 passengers. There were some hurricanes that compromised that. We're going to finish this calendar year right around 50,000 passengers.
Wow.
That's about 22 to 23,000 cars off the road. And now, if you've been to Twin Dolphin, the third ferry arrived a few weeks ago. And it has
big one.
Yeah, it has 35 interior seats. So the morning, when it's a little chilly or it's hot, they'll have some interior seating with some exterior seating. And it's 100,000 pounds, so it'll mitigate a lot of that wind and chop. Where the pontoon catamarans are only 30,000 pounds, we have to suspend the service because they can't handle those waters very well. So I think we're on our way. But my point is, how are we paying for it? We're using tourism tax and revenues to pay for that. So it's enhancing multimodal transportation at no cost to the residents.
Yeah.
No better deal than that.
So now that you know it works, what are some of the things, beyond convenience? How does the ferry, the two that already exist and the third that we just received, how is that changing not just visitors but like local residents and their connectivity to the community?
Well, it's an attraction more than a taxi.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Sure.
I guess I'm not embarrassed to say, but when we took the commissioners on the water ferry when we first launched it, guess what? That was the first time I was on the Manatee River 31 years after I moved here.
Wow, okay.
Not a boating guy.
Yeah.
No, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. So we knew right there and then that if we can promote this as an attraction in a fast way, we're trying to work on a video where one screen shows you on the water and the other screen shows you in gridlock, like in February, March.
Yeah.
And there's a timer on it
Yep.
to show you can be on this beautiful water and see all this beauty, or do you want to sit in your car and take 2 times longer?
So we get like a time lapse video.
Oh, yeah,
Of like, yeah,
absolutely. So, and the staff's been created. It was the only time in my career where I actually told the marketing department, I want to be in the face of the residents with this water ferry service, because we really need about 30% of the residents to use it for it to really be successful. The rest visitors. We're getting ready to add Coquina Beach as a landing.
Awesome.
Why is that important? Because it should entice more residents to jump on that water ferry, because Coquina is probably their beach of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're hoping to bring the water ferry to the convention center at Palmetto Estuary. Imagine now you're at a convention with your husband and kids. You're in meetings all day, and your
Yeah.
husband says, "Hey, I'm taking the kids on this water ferry and going right out to the island for
Yeah.
the day." Can't
It's
find that
easy.
anywhere else in
It's-
coastal
Yeah.
Florida.
I took my family, and we actually did the ferry, and then from Bradenton Riverwalk down into where Bridge Street, where it lands, and then we got on the bus and went to Anna Maria Island for the day, and did back, and just to really test, can we do a beach day with no car going out there? And it was so fun.
And you totally can.
You totally
Yeah.
can, and the bus is free. And while we were on the water taxi, we saw dolphins. We saw the spoonbill cranes. Like, it was really cool, and they loved it.
And Bridge Street is the perfect place to stop. Like, like my folks come down from Wisconsin, it's like a whole new world for them,
Because we have lived here for a while, we kind of can take
Yeah.
it for granted.
Yeah.
Right.
But people that haven't been here, have come here for the first time, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. We're on our way. I think it's a prototype that the state could use around coastal Florida. Sarasota County's mulling it over. I spoke to the MPO recently. So if they want to partner with us, how cool would it be to go from Anna Maria Island, down to downtown Sarasota or St. Armand Circle? So
That'd be
it's not an
incredible.
if, it's a when at some
Yeah.
point.
Well, I loved your idea. Tell us, I think this was you who was suggesting this. Or actually, it could have been the captain on the boat. I can't remember. But I feel like you'd be in support of it. But this idea that you can take the ferry like around evening time, sunset, and then the last one leaves at like 9 or 10. And so you can go have dinner on the island, have a nice dinner, then get back, have a nice evening cruise. I mean, what a wonderful night, to have with your friends or your family.
Absolutely. And the charm is, we're a couples, romance, family destination where we're getting a little impatient. We as government leaders, we need to have an impatient mindset, right?
Absolutely.
We got to get things done for the residents. And coming out of the hurricanes, we lost the city pier on Anna Maria. It's on the north side, so we lost the hopper service. So we're working on those dynamics. We're having casual conversation with Holmes Beach, and then still working with the city of Anna Maria. So if we can get Coquina online, Bridge Street's been great, and then get Holmes Beach or the city of Anna Maria. Now imagine if you're staying at a short-term rental on North Anna Maria Island, or if you're just a resident and it's March and Gulf Drive is gridlock, and you want to go to dinner on Bridge Street,
Yeah.
you can take the water ferry back and forth. Doesn't get any better. You can have a glass of wine or two, and
Right.
you're not drinking and driving.
Right.
So many opportunities there.
It's affordable too.
Right.
It
It's
is
so
affordable.
What does the ticket price go for?
$6 for an adult, and then
Yes.
there's veteran discounts and senior discounts and kids. And sometimes people will say, well, you can charge more. Right now, the objective is capacity is first. Do we need to be cognizant of our budget and our subsidy? Absolutely. But this objective set by the board is let's get people out of their cars onto the water to enhance multimodal transportation. So progress is being made every day.
So we're looking at 5 potential stops on the island, or close to 5
There'll
stops
be
on the
3.
Yep.
If we can get 3, we're good.
Yep.
And then 2 in the mainland, One being, the city of Bradenton, we worked because, remember, it was called the day dock.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a resident or a tourist, where's the day dock? And then you got to explain it. So we worked with the city, and they approved it. So now it's called the Bradenton Riverwalk Pier. So we know it's on the Riverwalk. So that's helped geographically. We can get that, add Palmetto Estuary. I think that's probably going to carry us the next 5 years. The big objective, and the board knows this because we talked about it at one of their town halls in Parrish, and when they wanted me to give a water ferry update, and there was a couple hundred people there, and I said, okay, everybody, what if we had a water ferry nonstop from Fort Hamer to Anna Maria Island? How many people would take it? And I swear almost everybody raised their hands. So how cool would that be? Probably be weekend only, but once again, get the cars off the road. And not only is it going to get you out there quickly, but it's an attraction. It's beautiful.
I've made that trek. How long of a trip would it be in one of our ferries?
Probably a good hour each way. But Charlie Hunsaker, who knows those waters better than most, he said logistically we could do that when we're ready.
How cool!
So you get your money's worth.
Yeah,
and there's a lot to see even upriver.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful.
So we're paid to look
enjoyable,
downfield. Let's keep looking downfield. 5 years, 10 years. As this beautiful community builds out.
So I want to switch gears over to the big shiny gem we've talked a lot about lately.
Talk about looking 5-10 years down the
now it's realized, right?
Further,
yeah. Tell us about the vision for the new Convention and Visitors Bureau, where it started. That conversation with Charlie B. years ago. Tell us
the
that
convention
story.
center. Yeah. So, 1983. Is when the community decided to build a Manatee Civic Center. And at that point, the Kiwanis put $500,000 in. So that's like 1.6, 1.7 million today's number. A lot of money. And then Ralph Haben, who was Speaker of the House, lived in Palmetto, had a great relationship, obviously Speaker of the House. I think it was Governor Graham. And I just had breakfast with Ralph Haben. I heard the guy for years. I finally met him. Senator Galvano got me the breakfast meeting, and we had a lot of fun. And so he got $10 million from the state. The initial ask was $20 million, and they designed the Civic Center to be twice the size. A lot of people don't know that. And when it got to the governor's desk, he couldn't sign off on the budget for 20, but he said, you know what, I'll give Manatee 10. And at that point, some of the Vernon Desirs and the old legislators said that Manatee County commissioners didn't feel like the time was right to go out for referendum to ask the community to pay for the other $10 million. So what did they do? They took a $20 million civic center and scaled it down quickly to the size that it is today. We would have had an 88-seat main arena that's now 3,800.
Oh, man.
So I knew those dynamics, but the good news is when that building opened, there was never any debt service. Okay, and then I couldn't tell you when I started in '93 how many hotel developers came and went on that parcel where the Marriott sits today. In 2000, we did a study of what an expansion could look like, and the expansion would have gone towards the Marriott. And at that point, it was September of 2001 that my predecessor pitched to the Board of County Commissioners. The estimated price was $60 million, and the board was like, oh, wow, that's a tough pill to swallow. Larry White, my predecessor, go and kind of crunch the numbers a little bit harder and come back to us. Well, what happened a week later? 9/11 hit.
Oh. Yeah.
And he looked at me, he said, put this in your credenza. And then we realized there was a chicken and an egg factor. Until we get a hotel, it's really hard to expand.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can't bring in the meeting planners without a hotel connected. So we found a friend in Lee and Leslie Hancock who pitched for the Pirates when I worked for the Pirates. We didn't know each other.
How funny.
He lives in Northern California. So $115 million later, they built us a 252 Marriott Resort and Spa. That was the trigger to go ahead with the expansion. $53 million project, 100% paid by the tourism tax. And you have to connect the two. So as you've both experienced, you can go from your hotel room right into the exhibit space without going outside. Staff is working really, really hard to bid on conferences, probably mid 27 and beyond, you're going to start seeing conventions come into there. So that should produce $53 million investment. We should see a return mid 27 and beyond at the tune of about $40 million per year. So that's pretty good ROI. Why do you need that? Let's look at the big picture. Palmetto and Bradenton are going through redevelopment. You need assets like that to feed the small businesses 12 months a year. That's why you build a convention center. That's why only governments own convention centers, because they're not money makers, they're economic stimulators. Okay, so you have the Pirates and the baseball complex, and then the convention center. I call that our urban core bookends that'll feed that urban core and beyond as we move forward.
I learned a very interesting word from your staff, Keenan. He sent me over a paragraph because we were writing the State of the County speech, and we definitely wanted to highlight the expansion. And he said, bleisure. And I was like, what the heck is bleisure? And he's like, oh, it's business and leisure kind of put together. And he was explaining how important it is and how important it is to our community. Can you talk about a little bit about that and how people coming here, they kind of discover the area maybe through this business travel and what that means additionally to the economy?
It's a great question. Our marketing staff, they get all fancy with these words.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm still trying to learn English, let alone words like bleisure.
Yeah.
As you're building a community, it's really, really important. You got to think 12 months a year. No disrespect to other partners in the state, but you know, if you're in the Panhandle with the seasonality of the weather, you're going to see major ebbs and flows. Okay, so you try to build, what do you need to sustain visitation 12 months a year? So with that, obviously your leisure is your biggest segment. Okay, there's a seasonality shift, so the domestics coming in hard, right during spring season, and then your summer drive. And when the kids go back to school, now you're just a couple's destination from when school starts through the fall. That's where our Brits and our Germans and our Swiss and our Austrians augment that, okay? So it keeps pushing, okay? Sports segment, you won't really see us bid on a tournament in February, March, April, okay? 10 pounds of sand in a 5-pound bucket, shame on us. Let's bid on sports tournaments from May 1 through this time of the year. Augment. Okay, that's about a $350 million industry for us, the sports segment.
Wow.
The European is right around $300 million. Why is the convention center important? It was the last void in our tool belt. It was that group corporate. We didn't have the facility to kind of run on all cylinders. So we said, look, commissioners, if you build us this convention center, you'll be the only convention center from St. Petersburg to Naples. And now we're running on all cylinder, so that's going to be not as much growth as the sports, very niche, but I'll drill down one more. So third-party research, first-time leisure visitor to the Bradenton Herald, the vacationer, is likely to return 94% of the time within 12 months. The first-time sports corporate visitor is likely to return within 12 months 74% of the time. But both of those return rates are pretty good.
Yeah.
Who do we target? First-time visitors.
That's awesome. And it's a beautiful facility. Tell us a little bit about what you can expect. Who might benefit from booking their meeting or conference at the CVB?
Well, if the locals are listening to this, we need ambassadors. Just about everybody belongs to an association. So, we've been going, guerrilla marketing and saying, look, so-and-so, CEO, president, vice president of a company locally here. Tell us who your association that you belong to, you may be a board member, and how can we help you help us bring your association to your backyard. So that convention center, the expansion was paramount. Without that grand ballroom, we're dead in the water. Because you need an exhibit space, so that'll accommodate 188 10x10 trade show booths. And then you need that grand ballroom, because we've all experienced it. You wake up in your hotel room, okay, I have the keynote speaker breakfast session. That's the grand ballroom. Once that's over, you go into your exhibit space, the meeting rooms in the middle or your breakout rooms, and then after that breakfast session, the food and beverage company is converting that to the keynote speaker lunch session. So now you have a 95,000 square foot convention center that'll be able to accommodate conventions about 800 attendees or less. You'll have some diverse business. Just spoke to a group about bringing a major music festival to the convention center in May.
Yeah.
We just came out of the European holiday market. Our objective is that's 2 weeks long and encompasses the whole building, including the outside plazas, to create a festival. Why is that important in December? Well, you've been there.
It's beautiful.
You see them in London. You see them in Germany. So now we can cross-promote that and say, hey, Europeans, when you're coming for holiday, you can also enjoy our American version of a European holiday market. So we're promoters. You have to diversify. And you look at good times and in bad. Even in 2020, where we were only 12% down in visitation because of the diverse assets that the Board of County Commissioners have built through tourism tax that help us weather adversarial currents. So you'll see very minimal ebbs and flows in our tool belt for probably the past 15 years.
Yeah. I mean, we just hosted our strategic plan work session in that we had, working in there probably, 20 or less people, but we had an audience of another 30 people. And that room really worked well. It was easily configurable to our needs. We had really modern equipment, beautiful space, but not to this point where it was distraction. Because, sometimes you go into these meeting rooms and you're like, how can I work with this? It's too obtuse or something. But it just felt good. The food is great. The staff was great. I was really impressed.
The neat thing, and God bless the commissioners who approved that $53 million, is if you came in from outside the state and nobody told you, you might think that the Marriott and Convention Center are one ownership.
Yes, you would.
And that was the objective, complementary aesthetics. Because I told the board, sometimes I'm too candid, we can't have a 4-star plus resort and spa attached to a government design convention center.
It's beautiful.
You can't have it.
Are there models out there like that? Absolutely.
Sure.
How do we separate ourselves from the competition?
Sure.
And you can see the difference when you walk into those facilities too, right? It's like like a line.
Yeah.
And now the work has just started.
Yeah.
So now it's like we've called the cities to action, saying, okay, we got this. This is a gift from your tourists that enhance the quality of life for the residents that live here, because the residents will use that as well at no cost to them. Now we need curb appeal. We need walkability. Let's work together to build out the critical mass that we need to serve those customers that are using the convention center.
You've been here for 30 years, and you were talking. We covered a lot of area. We covered, the airport, the ferries, the convention center expansion, the Marriott. Are all these changes happening because of visitors' expectations? I mean, what's driving that? What's pushing us in that kind of that one direction?
You look at your characteristics of your community first and foremost. A lot of time, the native residents that live here, they get scared that history is going to be compromised through redevelopment. And I'm one to say, hey, you could actually protect it, enhance it, and still redevelop your city. So you remember, at the end of the day, I may be called the executive director. I really wish my business card said community servant, because that's the way I need to think. Okay? So if we can take the characteristics and then find people that are interested in those characteristics, that establish your target market. Okay? Because I can go arrogant tourism director and say, okay, Anna Maria Island, let's create a nightlife. Let's try to bring casinos in and bring volume of people. That's not what the community wants.
It's not who we are.
Yeah, so moderation, less is more.
Yeah.
How can we get those revenues? Remember I just said Pittsburgh went through 20 years of a depression. What happened in Detroit? They were bulldozing neighborhoods because without the car industry, they're depressed. So how do we convince that resident that lives here, and unless you're native, you probably found Manatee County because you used to vacation here.
Right.
But we as humans, we get selfish, right? And then we want it to ourselves. So how do we tell them that, hey, a tourist is good? Because Elliot can promise you, without tourism, that restaurant that you love and those attractions that you love will not be sustainable without the influx of visitors.
And well, I guess I have you to thank then, because first time I came to Bradenton area, it was via airplane ride from Appleton, Wisconsin to SRQ. And that was the first time I visited here. And then it was probably 4 or 5 consecutive years after that. And then after that, we're like, hey, we like this blue-collar beach vibe.
Yeah, I mean,
that
I'm
Manatee
the same.
County has, yeah.
We picked it because of the sports community here.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a place that had triathlon, had cycling. This was a wonderful place. You could do sports year-round, which was really important for us looking to start a business when my family came here. So talk to us about that. So in this element of, resident versus tourist, how do you play that bridge? What are some things that your office is doing to help educate, and on both sides, right?
Yeah, it's tough. We as department heads, we wear a lot of hats. I'm proud to wear a lot of hats. I candidly talked to the commissioners a few years ago, and I think there was trust there, but I said, commissioners, be careful you don't make me a part-time tourism director. Because like you, I'm a people person, and there's nothing. My happy day is getting into the community and educating them, whether they're residents, whether they're red hat ladies, or whether they're elected officials. And if we can constantly educate them the value with the sincere trust behind it, without fabricating, then once they understand it, they'll embrace it. You look at the region holistically. I'm big on case study and prototypes. And sometimes my economic development friends are saying, why don't we bring in this big industry or that industry? And it's like, look at a prototype and look at Raleigh-Durham Cary, North Carolina. And you study that. It weathers economic fluctuation probably better than any other region in the U.S. Why is that?
Yeah, why
State
is that?
capital, multiple higher education institutions. Regional Triangle Park, right between Raleigh and Cary and Durham. So I said, take that model and plop it right over us, and you have Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch. But we have a beach. And maybe your Regional Triangle Park is all that light industry just north of the airport. All kinds of land there, okay? And now it's big, so it's like, oh my gosh, how do I grasp that? How do I understand that? But the charm for the tourists, for the residents that live here, is Sarasota's characteristics are different than Bradenton area characteristics. That's different than Lakewood Ranch characteristics.
Right.
But as a region, they integrate really, really well. It drives me crazy when someone says, well, Sarasota's doing that. We need to do that in Bradenton. No, do something different.
Yeah.
Contrast is powerful,
Yeah.
right? So once again, it goes back to that education. I'm not the end all. But if we have the gift to influence a little bit and educate and back up with case study, they'll probably buy into it.
It's so interesting. I mean, where do you think that instinct comes from, Elliot? Because that, like you said, you weren't necessarily set out to be a tourism director, but you've got an instinct for this industry that's like nobody else I've seen, and you know what right looks like in a way. Where does that come from?
I think. Well, thank you for humbling me. I'm my worst critic, as I think not only my colleagues in the workforce know, but the community knows. I call myself out a lot. It's just me being me. And sometimes people get mad at me, but I am who I am, and it's worked for me. And I think, to answer the question as short as I can, I think being in a government and around the table with department heads who are managing redevelopment efforts and development efforts, and then I love looking at different communities and different models. Those two areas allowed me to learn on the job. I learned as a tourism director on the job, and I'm big on not being – I've actually publicly said I'm the dumbest department head in Manatee County government.
Far from.
But I'm smart enough to know where to go to or who to go to get the job done, those resources. We would all go to bat for each other.
You're a connector, yeah.
And that's really, really important.
For sure.
And I'll tell my senior managers that are so loyal to me, but when I hire them, I'm going to say, once you get your hands wrapped around your responsibility, where we're doing really well together is you're managing me, and if I'm managing you, I've hired the wrong person, and if I have to manage you, it's probably hell. but I've hired you to eventually manage me. Why is that important? Because now I can look downfield. Yep. I'm not in the mud trying to figure out promotions and artwork and social media and all that. Do I get briefs? Absolutely. Now I can meet one-on-one with TDC members, the Board of County Commissioners, mayors, and educate and educate. And when you think they're educated, you don't stop. Stay on the offense, keep that initiative, because if you become reactive in your daily walk in our positions, you will get run over. I truly believe that in my heart.
And that sound means we have reached our lightning round. Tourism Director, public servant / really nice guy, Elliot Falcione. Quick questions, even quicker answers, sir, if you will.
Great.
Lightning round, here we go. Being from Pittsburgh, fall football or beach volleyball?
Oh, football.
Yeah. Favorite Italian dish?
Gavadil's, which is like a gnocchi.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
The thing that you most enjoy about mentoring young talent?
Helping them enhance their personality traits in the workplace, because our young generation is so technologically savvy, they're not communicating with people face to face.
Sure. I've seen you speak publicly several times, even in this podcast. You really seem to enjoy it, sir. What part of public speaking really lights you up, gets you going?
When I was playing baseball in college, when I was more immature, I took acting classes because it was an easy A.
Oh, wow.
Never realized how it would benefit me in my career. So I urge college students to take acting classes. It'll help them be successful.
Acting, improv, little improv in there?
Voice and diction. It's a lot of fun.
Being our sister city, favorite thing to do in Pittsburgh?
Favorite thing to do in Pittsburgh, a Pittsburgh Penguin game.
Okay. Best business advice you've ever received?
I'll throw a curveball at you. I don't know if I could ever say that I had a really good mentor that I followed, but I tell students this. Sometime a really good mentor is watching an executive do things that you would never do.
And last one, most famous Pittsburgh native you've ever met?
Steve Blass. He's not a Pittsburgh native. He's a Canadian, Connecticut native, but one of the gems who lives in Pittsburgh. And I would say my grandfather. Yeah, now that I think a little bit further, no better guy.
It's been so good having you for this, Elliot. We always get to talking every once in a while. I know how great you are through your staff. Colby, Keenan, Emily, Brittany, who worked for us briefly and went back to the CVB. We miss you, Brittany.
Miss you, Brittany.
We know not only from the things that you do outwardly, but through the what we get and the feedback we get from your team. You're an outstanding director and an outstanding part of this community and an outstanding part of Manatee County.
And I have to say, too, I'm a little jealous because I'm pretty sure you have the most fun department director role.
I would say so.
Many people would say I have the best job in the county. I agree with that. My Italian DNA keeps me amped up a little bit, but the culture in our office, the staff, they're my calming force. I'll close at this. Anytime I get a chance to speak publicly, and it's important because society is changed a little bit, and there's a lot of hatred in society today. I would say it's easy to love people you already love and like. I tell people, let's find someone that we don't like or don't love and love on them, because if we can do that consistently here and there, and I tell people that to remind myself that it makes the heart stronger and makes you more powerful. So let's love on each other. And easier said than done, but if we can find one person that we don't like and figure out a way to provide that unconditional love, it's pretty powerful.
And with that, 25 episodes. A quarter of 100. We're on our way of Chambers, Changes, and Conversations. On behalf of the men and women that do work that matters behind the scenes for you, I'm Casey Zempel.
I'm Stephanie Garrison.
And I'm Elliot Falcione. Thank you so much.
Make it a great day to live, work, and play
in Manatee County.
The opinions expressed by guests of Chambers, Changes, and Conversations do not necessarily reflect those of Manatee County government or its employees.